campaigners were outside the High Court in London today, challenging a law from the 1960s which allows pregnancies where the unborn baby has Down syndrome to be terminated after the usual 24-week limit. They say it is discriminatory and unfair. Around 90% of women who find out their unborn child might have Down syndrome choose to have an abortion. In a moment, we'll hear from a charity that helps parents make these choices and from a mum whose child has the condition. But first, this report from Frankie McCamley from outside the court in London today.
Sorry, my love.
Surrounded by friends, family and supporters, today Heidi Crowter is taking on the government.
Here we are at the High Court to challenge the downright discrimination.
She wants to challenge the law that makes abortion legal up until birth if the fetus has a disability, including Down syndrome. Joining her, parents who have children with disabilities. Some say they felt pressured into an abortion.
The whole language sets the tone. You know, my baby was referred to as a chromosomal abnormality. He's 17 this summer, and I'm immersed in maternity care now, and I'm seeing it day in, day out. Women being told even, you know, do you want to take the baby home? I mean, this is 2021 in the UK.
And a familiar face also here to offer her support.
I think it's really important that people with disabilities take this, women with disabilities in particular, take this argument forward. Because I am pro-choice, and but I also believe that everybody should be equal under the law.
Back at home in Coventry, Heidi recently celebrated her first wedding anniversary with husband James. She says she lives life to the full.
We are someone who has Down syndrome, and we want to show to the world that we have a good quality of life.
The case will be heard at the High Court today and tomorrow. Frankie McCamley, BBC News.
Right, let's find out a little more about this whole situation, shall we? We can speak now to Karen McIntosh, the Scottish coordinator for ARC. That's a charity that supports women during antenatal scans. Good evening to you, Karen. Thanks very much for being with us. Let's start, if we may, by looking at the system. When you have a Down syndrome diagnosis in a pregnancy, what happens? How do people in your position handle it with the parents?
Well, people may contact ARC for some support following that diagnosis, but the women, the parents who have been given that information will have already received a lot of information from the health professionals that are involved in and support for them and be aware of the options available to them. So they will be being supported by the health professionals involved and we add further support to that. And
I mean, we've heard repeatedly over the, through this story, claims that parents in that situation are given what they see as slightly skewed advice. They feel they come under pressure, or at least are kind of guided towards a termination. Is that a system you recognise? Can you understand why they would say that?
I'm always saddened to hear of parents, women who feel that they're under any pressure, and why that is, I'm not sure. I would have to say that, Public Health Scotland put a lot of resources into the training of health professionals, the production of literature for parents to let them know that screening for Down syndrome during pregnancy is optional. And it's very much the parent's choice as to whether they wish that information or not. And it's the role of the health professional to give, when that diagnosis is made, give whatever information is available to support the parents, and the role to support parents and respect that decision. And in my 6 years of working as Scottish coordinator of antenatal results and choices, and also many years of working as a midwife in this area, I would say that really is not the case. That certainly the parents that I've been involved with feel very supported in the information that they're given and the decisions that they make. Although the statistics do suggest 9 out of 10 of these pregnancies end in termination, though, don't they? Tell me at the moment, why does the law allow termination after 24 weeks? Right. Well, I would say to you first of all that screening for Down syndrome is available from 11 weeks of pregnancy. So the majority of women who make the decision to enter into that screening process, and where the diagnosis of Down syndrome may eventually be made, will be at a stage under 24 weeks of pregnancy. So it's far less common for that diagnosis to be made after 24 weeks of pregnancy, and therefore, you know, it's a woman's option as to whether she wishes this information or not. Some women will decide not to have screening. Some women who are given the diagnosis of Down syndrome.
Sorry to cut across you, but I mean, if this discovery is made in a screen at, say, 15 weeks or 16 weeks, that doesn't leave you all that long to compartmentalise this kind of bombshell information, as some people will see it, and make a massive decision, does it?
I think it's important that parents are given the time to make the decision that's right for them. And that's the important thing, and that's what health professionals do, and that's what we at ARC do, is to give information to support parents during that difficult decision-making time, and then to respect and support the decision that they make at whatever stage of pregnancy that might be. Having to make that decision at any stage of pregnancy is incredibly difficult for parents, whatever decision they make. And it's about support, it's about supporting the decision the parents make, and that decision is the one that's right for them.
Of course, it is absolutely incredibly sensitive and incredibly individual, these decisions. So thank you very much indeed, Karen McIntosh from ARC, for putting some of that into context for us. Well, let's speak now, shall we, to Lynn Murray. She's a campaigner and a mother to Rachel, who was born with Down syndrome. Lynn, thanks very much indeed for being with us this evening. What is your view on this legal challenge, this attempt to have the law changed?
Well, I think Heidi's quite right in taking up this challenge. A lot of people have shied away from it in the past. The law as it stands is discriminatory and offensive to people with Down syndrome, and they're speaking out now and saying that. And I think it's time that we had a review of the law, and the law was changed so that everybody was equal under the law, including abortion law.
So this is an issue of equality for you as much as anything else, is it?
Yes, it's about equality. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly why Heidi is fighting us. It's not about the rights and wrongs of abortion. It's about equality in law, which we would expect to see in every law. Now, we've had Equality Acts for, sort of 20-odd years now, so we should see that everything is conforming to that. Yeah,
it's an interesting distinction, isn't it, that? What can I ask, Lynn, what was your experience during pregnancy? When you had your diagnosis, how did the staff handle it with you?
Well, we had a diagnosis at birth, and actually I was quite fortunate. We had, you don't know at the time, but we had a pretty good experience. I know now that the professor didn't give me any of his feelings about the matter. He told us he's going to tell us something that might be a shock. What I've learned since then is people have a lot worse experience than that. People have been told as they leave hospital. One Scottish girl that I know, she was having a check before she left, and when her partner came in to pick her up, she was screaming because they said, the baby's got Down syndrome, don't you? There's just all sorts of stories, and they persist until this very day. The Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists issued a statement in December which said that women do report coercion and questioning about further screening when they've decided to continue a pregnancy after, or if they've just heard that their baby has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say it is a real problem, and we need to sort of break the link between screening and abortion. Yeah,
there's a lot of ignorance about this whole thing, isn't there, from people outside the Downs community. Most people will be surprised, I think, to learn that you can terminate a pregnancy right up until full term.
Very much so. That's the sort of phone calls I've had from people today in the media, etc., saying, we didn't know this was the case. So, yeah, and I think that's part of this case is that, it's raising awareness, it's getting people talking about this and realising that this, in fact, is a situation in 2021. So, yeah, and it's very important that we now realise people with Down syndrome are coming to understand this too. And it's offensive to them.
Yeah, just before we let you go, Lynn, how's Rachel doing? We were hoping to speak to her tonight, but I understand she's recovering from COVID. Is she all right?
Yes, yeah, she's just still got a bad cough, but yeah, she's okay and she's hoping to get back to her work next week.
Oh, well. Good on her. Good on her. Well, listen, give her our best. Give her all the best from us, will you? And all the best to you too. And thanks very much for being with us this evening.
Okay, thank you, Martin.